Morning. All right, Monday, March 24th. We are in full on spring break feel. I will warn you, there were some videos circulating this weekend on social media about how crazy Seaside was, but they were from years ago. I was actually disappointed in a local site that kind of circulated it, and I could tell it was like from the past before they put in some regulations about how many people at night rolling around Seaside. So it's not that crazy down here, but it is busy. Our kids, local high schools and stuff are on spring breaks. We're just coming off that. We stayed here. It's been a busy week, but man, I cheated. I looked ahead to kind of see what the numbers were because I felt a certain way this week. It was busy, but let's just get into the numbers so I can tell you what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to get on my soapbox about rental projections here at the end and tell you why we can't count on them anymore in the short term and what we're doing to combat that. Stick around because I want to make sure I explain that correctly because it's still a vital part of our business, but I want to do a deep dive into that at the end. So let's just dive into the numbers here. Let's just break down the numbers. So on the hot sheet, new listings, 80. So, man, what a short term that was on the new listings, going all the way up to 80 when we've been enjoying, we had that 1 week in the 40s, and you know how excited I was last week. And look, I'm not excited, but what I was hoping for is, 3 weeks in a row is a trend for us. But basically we had 1 week where it dipped down to the 40s, okay? And then we're right back up into one of the highest we've seen at 80 on the new listings, okay? So let's go through the rest of the numbers, and then I'm going to kind of tell you that story and my overall thoughts on what that means going forward. But again, got a little excited last week on that point, and then here we are right back up into the 80s. So new listings 80, pended 24, all right? Pendings continue. Remember, we were in the low 30s last week, 31, I think. Pendings continue to be super consistent. We are writing a very consistent amount of contracts. But again, our ratio, we like to be 50% of those new listings based on last year's activity, and we're not. We need to be up in that 40 range right now with the new listings we've got coming on, and here we are at 24. Closings 13, okay? Lower side of what we've seen. We don't judge that yet. As long as they're consistent with the pendings, that's what we want. They've been up in that 18 to mid 20s, so we're not going to read into that too much. No trend there. Price reductions, 73. So remember in the fall, I was kind of talking about how it was hard to read these price reductions the new listings because, what the agents are doing is taking the property down off the market, changing the price and bringing it back on as a new listing, right? And that still happens. But now what we're doing is kind of the double whammy. We've got new listings up in the 80s and we've got price changes in the 70s. So the market's moving, okay? So a few key points I want to point out. 80s back up in that range where I don't want to say it felt high because it's now consistent, because we came off of 4 to 6 weeks of very consistent numbers in that range. We took 1 week off and we're right back there. So what I'm looking for next week is if we just settle into this 80s, and if we stay settled into the saturation rate where we're taking about 25 off the market, and that's what we're going to be going through the spring. I will tell you, it's super interesting. There are some communities that are seeing an abundance of listings, and I don't know a lot. Sometimes it's hard for me to believe that all of the people that know of all the listings in and around them on very like-kind products really need to be selling right now based on where they purchased or anything like that. I just wonder, because I've been in those situations and I've had conversations with sellers where they're like, man, I don't know that it makes sense right now to come to market, especially those that do not appear to be wanting to compete with price. I really, 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 really do not understand the motivation of coming to the market when with a like-kind property, you're going to get beat by the one down the street. Okay? And I'm talking about in communities where there's a lot of similarity in the homes. Maybe the wall colors are different. Maybe the backsplash is different. Maybe there's some wall accents. But for the most part, I can tell you with our buyers right now, they're savvy enough. They're not going to uppay a lot for certain premiums. Yes, it needs to look good. Yes, it needs to stand out. But when they've got an inventory just keep coming at them, it's actually a stall. I'm not going to pick on this one community, but I'm working in this one community right now, and we continually have new listings coming up, and nobody's going under contract. Everybody's racing to be the next one. And I think what's happening is that the buyers are looking at that community going, listen, maybe we should just let them race each other. I mean, they're fighting each other and jockeying for a position over there, and none of them are going under contract. Now, the brighter side, Casey, you sound a little doom and gloom. I'm not. I'm talking about one segment. There are some amazing opportunities out there that people are taking advantage of, and there are some communities that are finally open up with inventory that everybody's been clamoring for, that are seeing some incredible runs. There's some incredible things going on down in Destin, some incredible things going on in Watercolor. East 30A, there's some incredible things. West 30A, there's some incredible things. So it's like, amidst all these little pockets where there's lower inventory and super special properties out there that somebody needs to take advantage of, there are these other little pockets where really everybody needs to pump the brakes, and maybe somebody needs to leave the market because all you're doing is delaying it. So that's why I always add that asterisk when people say, hey, Casey, how's the market? And I'm like, listen, what are you most interested in learning about? Like, what's your goal? What do you own? Or what are you maybe looking for, so that I can dial it in and tell you how that market's doing? Because it's wild that we're seeing so much inventory, but yet still in some markets, it's just like, very minimal for what they're looking for. But listen, we're moving property. We have active buyers, and the rates went down this past week. All right. Let me talk about rental projections. I'm going to do a whole other video on this week. It is very tough to rely on rental projections right now. I'm having to dig into these rental projections for my clients more so than ever before. Some of the rental companies are including things like taxes and cleaning fees into the gross amount, and some are not. There's no even playing field on these numbers that they're giving out. So I'm having to go in and basically ask, hey, this gross amount, what all does it include? In the past, it was just the gross rent. We advertised $5,000. The people paid $5,000. That's 1 week. Add that up over the 26 weeks that are normal, and you get a total, right? That's gross rent. Now, you may see one rental projection that's doing just that, and another one at another house next door that's including taxes and cleaning fees, which can mount up to almost $1,000 a month. A stay on top of that, which could equate to $26,000 to $40,000 more in gross rental income. So when the playing field, when there's no uniform standard out there on what everybody's including in their rental projections, we're having to be inspectors for our customers that are looking to buy on our listings. It's tough. I just want to advertise it the old way. I just want rental projections that are based on the rents that it can do, gross amount, and then the management fee, the buyers know to take that out. But what happens is I get rental projection for my property. It may say $250,000. Similar house next door is advertising $280,000, but their rental projections including cleaning fees. So it makes my property look less appealing to an investor when in reality it's the same. So I'm going to go into this in detail later this week, but it's a challenge out there. And I wish the industry would stick to it. I wish there'd be some uniformity to it. And I think a little bit of it can be agent driven, to be totally transparent. I think they're looking for the best rental projection they can get, and I get it. But what they're doing is confusing the marketplace. All right. So listen, I'm encouraged because we're busy. We're working with a lot of people, and a lot of our people are picking up amazing opportunities right now that fit their needs. At the same time, this inventory level is there. Okay. It keeps coming in the 80 range. So is that going to be our trend through the fall? Are we going to get all the way to summer, stacking up 80 during this time period and taking away around 25 or so that metric just gets a little bit higher and away from each other more so than it did last year? Okay. Because that's what I'm basing it off of. This isn't Casey making up numbers. we've been doing this every week for 2 years. So this is what you and I talk about, right? So that's what we base it on. Listen, great time to be on 30A. The weather's amazing. Our area continued to be incredibly popular. I entertained some people with golf last week. They had an incredible time just bragging about the area. So lots of amazing things going on right now. It's going to be a great week. We're in the trenches all week. So if you need anything at all, let us know. Tons more coming at you this week on the channel. And as always, if we can help you with anything, please, 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 please do not hesitate. I continue to hear from a lot of you and look forward to hearing from more. Talk to you soon.